पे इसी माइक की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। आप भी एक्स्ट्रा शिफ्ट You guys also come over here now? Come over here. Salman will
बस इतना ही लोग है। मैं बोल रहा था जाने मत तो, लेकिन सुनने ही नहीं है।
It's been around 18 years, not 16 years. और मैं GDGC एजुकेशन नहीं हूँ, पहले था, अब नहीं हूँ, ठीक है? अब मैं सिर्फ वेब टेक्नोलॉजीज और AI में, ठीक है? Anyways, so top title से कुछ समझ में आ रहा है जिसको हिंदी आती है ना सबको, वैसा comfortable with it, right? Anything which you understood? So this is a case study or maybe situations that where when I was in my first job, there was a situation which I wasn't aware of, right? Things which actually I didn't know. So I thought it would be a good idea to accumulate that, aggregate it and present with people who are just going to join in a company or just going to start the corporate. Okay. So a little bit about me. Most of this information is already catered, so we can move on to the next one. We are having interns, so if any of you interested in engineering, and we don't only care people who are doing engineering, anybody who have interest in engineering, they can come, right? One thing I want to clear here: engineering and development are two things. We are not interested in developers; we are interested in engineers, right? Anybody knows the difference? Engineers are who produce a solution for a given problem, right? Those are engineers. Developers who can code, right? So not every solution requires coding. That's what I am saying. If you have attitude of engineer, we can talk. So this is the one question which, when you think about going to the job or maybe about to join the job or interview or all those things, right? You have that curiosity, you have that excitement, but along those you also have this specific feeling where you say, okay, what are you going to do, right? I always break things at my home. What start breaking things at office, right? Whether they're going to keep me, whether they're going to keep me long enough. All those specific, nervousness and coolness kind of started haunting me, right? So this is not just only you, right? Everybody who is going to join their first company, they have the same feeling. So you don't have to worry that much about that. In all over the world, whether it's a specific job in nursing, whether it's a specific job in engineering, whether you're going to be a mine constructor, whether you're going to start your first business, right? Everything when you start to do something new, whether it's a job, whether it's a task, those jitters are very common and it happens globally, universally. So those something you should not be worrying. It is worrying about. here, right? Over the time when you spend much into those specific ecosystem, understand people, then you start feeling good that oh, yeah, this is what happened and I think all happened. But what happens on a bigger scale when you move from this ecosystem, which is your campus, right, and going into a very different beast, I would say, where the corporate and other organizations. So you need to understand that what you need to change when you're moving from this specific ecosystem to a corporate setup. So here, if you talk about campus, everybody is chasing a CGP, right? The more marks you get, the more happy your surrounding becomes, you become, your teachers become, everybody becomes. So marks is something where you guys are chasing. And that's something important because academics is all about how much how well you do within your test, right? That's something which your academics tells you. The mechanism of learning here is guided, right? You have semester 1, semester 2, then paper 1, paper 2. There is a whole schedule has been created, the whole flow has been created the way you're going to learn. So it's a guided learning, that's why you have various courses, every course has its own path, its own specific subject, its own specific topics, and you will learn from that specific order. So there is no chaos or anything, it's just very streamlined, guided learning which we are getting over here. And also you have classes, you have labs, where you have people who can tell you at a very specific point what you have to do, right? There are situations where you will do things on your own, but those situations are very less likely to happen in a college setup. Because you have teachers, mentors and all those, they tell you, they guide you, okay, you need to start opening book on this particular page and then start learning on those things. Even that specific information is also shared by somebody who is currently taking your class. And everything has a fixed schedule over here, right? You know where your exams are, you know where your classes are, you know which particular topic you're going to learn in what particular activity, right? Like take an example, if somebody is in engineering and they know that when the Java is going to start and end in my course, right? They have their schedule already available. But and largely you are theory focused, right? First you want to you need to learn the concept, understand the concept in a theory, then there is a situation where you go to do practical, right? And there are certain setup in college where practical is not even feasible. Engineering you have a computer lab, nursing you may have nursing homes, but there are situations like engineering, right? There are situations like other subjects where you can't even go into the practical, right? So practical is something which is not focusing in specifically in a campus setup. It's completely focused on a different system. But in corporate, marks don't matter, right? If you switch this particular room, being in a school or college, to go and be in a corporate where you are actually going to the job, your marks doesn't matter. Nobody is going to ask how much you scored, right? There could be one or two combinations in the very beginning where people may be interested in whether they're from IIT or not. But apart from that, there is no discussion about marks, right? What they will judge you on the value you have created, right? The outcome you have generated, right? The learning completely becomes self-driven. Now there is no teacher who's telling you which book or which page you have to open, right? You need to go explore, identify that what you want to learn, what you need to learn, how you want to learn. Those all things become very self-centered. And you are the only karta about it, right? Nobody else is going to help you that much. Your timelines are not very straightforward. It becomes very dynamic. Like today, you are sitting in a meeting where it's getting decided that okay, these are the certain things which we will do in next quarter. But suddenly what happens, share market crash and everything is going to haywire, right? So your whole quarter game is completely changed. Even in a single day, you thought that okay, maybe you will complete this task today, and that's what you have completed to your manager. But unfortunately, something happened and you're not able to complete that. So even a single day planning is not there. That kind of chaotic environment you are in, right? So there is nothing streamlined, there is nothing serial, everything is very dynamic here. You have to switch from one thing to another Very frequently. And the execution is not theory, right? When you try, I mean, you know, if you cut somewhere, there would be blood, right? But there are situations where, on a theory it look good, but whether you're gonna faint after looking out at blood or not, that's something you don't know until you actually cut it, right? So those situations would not occur until you be in that setup. And in corporate, the setup would be completely practical oriented. It will not be theory oriented at all. So here is a Jiffy or saying what are the core differences in terms of mindset you have to do when you're moving out from from a campus to corporate specific structure. And this is important because throughout till this time where you're joining a corporate, everybody has only talked about marks, study, schedule and all those things, right? Nobody has given you information that what happened when you were into your first job. And this is the situation where you need to break free from that training of 17, 18 years where marks and schools was the only focus. Now you have to worry about different things. And that's not going to happen in a day. It's going to take time. So, at the end of the day, no one is going to do any check on you about the marks and the institute or maybe the syllabus you have followed and all those specific aspects of that. But what they're going to care about is that how much and more initiative you took to make a change within you and within the institution you're being in, and also that what are the outputs, right? Because that's what corporate cares. So here the skill set is completely different what you need, right? But in corporate, the skill set is you need to have a different set of skill set rather than what you have in the corporate, especially in the campus. Here, communication may not matter that much, right? At the end of the day, what happens that a teacher came in, he teaches you something, he created a test around it, you give him the test, and you scored maybe more than average what everybody could score, right? And you haven't had any conversation with that teacher. He may not know your name, right? But still you're getting more than average number. You can get it, right? But in corporate it's not feasible. If your manager doesn't know your name, that's means you're not able. So communication may not play a very vital role when you are in a campus setup, but when you go into a corporate setup, that's the only thing you have to worry about. Whether people are communicating with you or not. There is a concept in corporate, are you workable? Right? Whether you are in that particular mindset that people can work with you. Right? There are people who are very rigid, it is very difficult to work with them. And if your feedback is getting in that direction where this person or this employee is difficult to work with, that means the whole area is communication and all those things is not getting fulfilled the way it's supposed to. So communication is key when you are getting into corporate world rather than in a college setup. It matters here as well, but it's optional. You may not talk to your teacher, but still you can get good marks. But in corporate, you cannot. Asking questions, right? And in college, we call backbenchers, right? In corporate, there is no backbenchers. The reason why, because backbenchers don't ask questions, they don't bother anybody. That's why they're supposed to be backbenchers. In college and in a campus, you can have backbenchers, but in corporate, you cannot. So, whenever you feel that okay, this is something which I understood, the situation is like I'm telling you, okay, this is a problem which you need to fix, right? Or you need to solve or you need to build, right? What happens is if you don't understand that particular problem and you don't communicate that with me, my understanding would be that you understood it, you're going to complete it and you're going to build it, right? So we are setting on a very fast trajectory to actually begin with. That's why asking questions becomes very important because first you need to understand what I'm trying to convey as an employee or an employer or as a manager, right? And then you also need to convey that okay, this is what I understood. So that everybody will be on the same place. That's why asking questions is very important. Time management, because here, as I mentioned, that you have a schedule, right? So So you know exactly what is going to happen. But in corporate, everything is very dynamic. So you don't know when exactly what's going to happen, right? That's why you have to have some form of time management within you. That how you're going to manage time from your personal life, your corporate life, your family, your friends, your social circle, everything. So you have to have some sort of mechanism in place which let you do good time management and collaboration. As I said, right? A single student can thrive its own, but a single employee cannot. So when you become an employee, your job is going to be working in a team setup, and you have to collaborate with other people. That's why communication and everything is very important, because those are the ways you can communicate, basically collaborate. And the last thing which is very important is being teacher, right? You are not the one who knows everything, right? So somebody is going to teach you something. So if you are not teachable, people will not be able to teach you. And this is also aligned with the same thing, right? If you are too rigid to work with, nobody is going to work with. So it's very okay if you don't know things, right? But if you don't know you don't know those specific aspects and you have to learn it, then corporate is going to be very difficult for you. How you do your day-to-day activity, how you talk to people, how you talk to your friends in campus is completely different than how you should do in your corporate world, right? I'm not saying that you will not have friends in the corporate world. You will definitely have friends, but here the time duration of someone becoming a friend is very short compared to in a corporate, right? Because there are 99% of the people are your competitors, right? Those are the people you are competing with, right? So to get into that position or trust where you can call them your friend would be a little bit longer compared to in a school setup or especially in a college setup. So first thing which is very important is that you need to make sure that you respect everybody's time. Everybody is not available or working for you 24/7, right? So, but space they are in, when they are in, that's something you need to respect. Be a little bit mindful what you share with people, right? Could be a very tragic story for you and you want to, share those with trustworthy people and you see that you're trusting them, but that specific story may be getting used in some other context to harm you in a different way altogether. It could be feasible, and it happens, right? I mean, backstabbing happens a lot in corporate rather than in campus. So be a little bit mindful around that. You have a hierarchy. In college, you may not have a hierarchy, right? Everybody is your student only. But in corporate, you have a hierarchy. You have your manager have their manager, and they have their managers, their bosses, and all those specific aspects around that. So you need to trust, you need to understand the hierarchy, but there is no need to fear. What happens, which I generally see with the students, they get into the corporate culture and they start fearing their manager a lot, right? The manager came in, whatever they are doing, they leave it in the speech silence, like all those specific aspects around that. So because they have trained to do the same thing with their teacher when they enter into the class, the same thing they kind of put the same label and same attribute to their managers. Which is not true. I mean, your manager is to help you grow. He is not going to judge you all the time, right? So that's something you need to take care of. And you need to document. Here, if you discuss with your teacher that, okay, I'm going to send you this assignment tomorrow, right? And he said, okay. And then next day he said, okay, why didn't you submit an assignment? And you're going to say, okay, I'll submit it tomorrow, I told you earlier. Most likely you're not in trouble, right? But in corporate, if you say, no, I want it today, and you don't have any documentation of the communication you will be in much bigger trouble. So that's why you need to document every specific aspect of your communication and everything which is happening around you in your corporate sector. There are situations where you need to decide whether you need to be a self-centered person or a person who is very helpful, right? And this is also with something you are building in within your campus itself, right? You could be a person who may be spending majority of their time helping other people, not letting themselves grow, those specific scenarios, those specific people does not do well in corporate, right? People need to be a little bit selfish, I would say, to grow in corporate, because you need to have time for you, not for everybody else. And those are the situations where you also need to be little bit, enthusiastic rather than having an ego. I mean, this is something you need to be little bit concerned. So be curious, see what is happening around you, try to get into the situations and understand the core of it. But don't be that casual, right? You need to be a little bit professional. That's why you say it's a corporate environment rather than corporate. Everybody talks about pressure, right? There is a pressure when you get into the corporate. I actually call them expectations, right? They're not pressure, they're expectations. You're getting into a setup which is built under pressure, right? Everybody is pressurized to do certain things. So those are expectations, not the pressure. And how to tackle them, because you are coming from a college structure. So even in your college, there are people and there are students who are far ahead of you. There are students who are far behind you, right? In terms of how much they know, how much they learn, where they are at their learning path, all those things. And this is the same thing that happen in a corporate as well. There will be people who are far better in their career. Maybe they have started together, but they have been far better. There will be people who are far worse compared to what you are. So everybody start at some place, and you need to have certain capability to pace yourself rather than just be in that particular zone. So the second thing you need to concern about that, if you made a mistake, you have to own it. You cannot blame somebody else, right? Because people know. Everybody knows. There is a track record of it that okay, you made these many mistakes throughout this particular time duration. In campus, those records would not be there. At the end of the day, if you did well in your exam, everything else is gone away, right? But in corporate, your appraisal is not. Sometimes what happens is that somebody is showing that they are very busy, right? Themselves, that if I keep myself busy, I'll be more productive, right? This is not what corporate will help you. What you need to do is you need to focus on productivity rather than busyness, right? You can be busy and productive altogether, but there are situations that if you are busy, that does not mean that you are 100% productive. I mean, scrolling reels is also kind of business only, right? But is that productive? That's something very big. So the first thing you need to understand is that here a lot of people are actually helping you to cope up with the study. There, no one, those people will not be there. So you need to be mentally strong. You need to be in that zone where you need to take care of your mental well-being. And then you won't be burned out. That's why we have weekends, right? So that weekend we only have to cater our burnouts. Here are a list of things which help you grow. So if you don't understand anything, ask for feedback. This is the best thing you can do in a corporate setup. Talk to your manager, say, okay sir, how well I did. Can you tell me how I'm doing, right? From whatever communication we had earlier. They'll tell you exactly what is expected from you, what you are not doing, what you're supposed to be doing, and then you do course correction. So asking feedback in a corporate structure helps a lot. And that's something you should be doing more often. I mean, here you don't go and ask your teacher how you're doing, right? Because they're going to tell you exactly what you're doing in your exam, in your mark sheet. But corporate, those things are not there. That's why you have to continuously keep asking. You have to start small. In your first job, you're not going to be millionaire, right? You need to start with something, or maybe nothing, depending on what your aspirations are. You have to start something and then build on top of it. There are core skills and there are micro skills, right? If you are an engineering student, the core skill is solving problems, right? If you are a nursing student, the The core skill is actually knowing about what how to do nursing, right? But there are micro skills: communicating with each other, understanding, empathy, right? All those become kind of micro skills. You also need to focus on those as well, not just the core skills. I mean, I have seen people who are very good engineer but very pain to work with. I know people that they are, far better in terms of people skill, but they're not very good engineers. So here what you need to do is also need to focus on micro skills. So if you want to grow your career, it's not being very restricted from your job role. Your job role would be 10 set of things which you have to do, right? But those are not the only thing which you should supposed to be doing. There are a number of things which you are also supposed to do. There are tools which will help you organize, which you may not be using here, but you will definitely need when you get into your corporate setup. Have you heard of Notion? Google Keep. So these are tools like, I said earlier, but it has to happen that everybody carry a diary, right? I don't know if you heard of, go in your home. But they do on a day-to-day basis or put important stuff that okay, जो बड़ोदरा वाली मौसी के basically सगाई कर रहे हो या बर्थडे कर रहे हो, these are kind of information that put into a diary, right? You are not using diary anymore because we are in a digital era, but we are using tools. So these are the tools who keeps you remember information whenever you want, right? So everything you want to put, organize, ideate, all those things you can do. As I mentioned earlier that in campus it can be casual, right? But in corporate it cannot be casual. So when you're writing your communication, emails and all, it cannot be casual, right? You need to be more on a professional, you need to watch your tone, you need to know what you are writing to whom. All those things comes with a specific baggage, right? So Grammarly will help you to actually tone it down. You may be yelling in your email, but Grammarly will help you to actually sound nice, right? So that's something you can use. You can use calendar and task list because majority of your life will be on calendar only. When is that meeting, what we need to discuss, everything in these information will be from the calendar. So you can build task list and other things around the calendar. What is very important is that you have to revisit your goals every week, right? Here what you do every semester, right? Every 6 months you visit whether you did well or not, right? But in office setup you have to do that every week. That's what weekends are. So the idea is that everybody gets that specific 24 hours in their life, right? What they are doing with that, that's something that I make or break. So here are some of the items which I think I can put. So what I understood is that if in a first year, if you care too much about proving yourself, right, you're getting into a different dimension altogether. There are people who have already proven. You cannot go and compete with them, right? So first year when you are in the job, your idea would be learning. You have to understand how organization works, right? How your team works, how they function, what kind of work they do. If you are working on a piece of a project, how big the project is, what exactly the project is doing. Then only you will be able to get some actionable matrices, right? How my contribution is going to translate actually in a money, right, for the organization. That's what important, right? Money means it could be saving, either it could be saving time or you are earning more money within the same time, right? This is the language business people understand. So you need to translate your activities, your actions in those particular goals. So first year, don't focus on proving yourself that you are better because there are far better people compared to what you are. What your focus should be that you should learn and then the proof and everything will come on the way. You need to be proactive, not reactive. Can anybody give me an example? What is a product?
Yeah. We also when it comes to the proactive and reactive corporate setups. So these are soft skills that they need to show to it. So for example, if I'm working on a development team and then I'm given a specific task, so I'm just focused on my task because that's an allocated to me to solve. But when in a case, also you have to have empathy into the corporate. So if a team member does not understand part of his or her task, I have idea that task, I have to help you on board. It's proactive. But when in the case, I set a timeline for my project for our first meeting as a developer, and my manager or team, they ask me why it is that stated here and there. So I try to be reactive to say that, oh, I have this one doing, I couldn't find pressure this one. So definitely these are not really soft skills that I need to the job market.
You're rightly said. So the situation are there are tasks which is assigned to you. Those you anyways have to do. There is no option you're not doing it. Right? But you also have to see that where are the other areas where you can help, where I can bring some sort of importance or some sort of impact. That's the productive way of doing things, right? Like take an example. If you are waiting that your manager will hand over a leadership position to you, then only you're gonna start mentoring people. Then that leadership position will not come to you at all, right? If you start showing that you can manage people, you will become a leader, right? So that's the proactive way of doing things. So I think you have mentioned already that soft skills are very important. So that's something you need to do. Yeah. Another thing is that you also need to be very observant when you are into the office environment. There are n number of things happen, and n number of things means another n number of things, right? So you need to have a lot of information to process to make a decision, or actually recourse if something is doing. So you have to observe, adapt, and then improve on top. So be attentive when you actually get to the office. What I understood so far is that not knowing is good, but we cannot go and stop learning. I have been in the industry for I think almost 18 years, and today itself I spend around 4 to 5 hours just for reading only. There's a lot of list I create throughout the day, and then when both the kids actually 3 or 4 a.m. I just do one thing, I just read. So that's something you should never stop, because that's how you're gonna do it. Anybody have any questions? No? Yeah, so that was my time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashok sir. What a ride. We have had knowledge bombs, reality checks, and few mini heart attacks along the way. But let's give a big shout out to our incredible speaker, Mr. Jai Thakkar, Vivek Jetani, and Ashok sir. Mr. Jai Thakkar and Ashok sir.
इस कैमरे में देखने वाले को बताओ। 3 4 है भाई। पहले आप देख लें।
जो मैं क्या उसको
अरे बाहर चलते हैं, कैमरा बाहर ही आएगा।
finance. Nice word. What financial company you want to work for? Can you tell me what is the best finance company in India? Not necessarily original Indian, but working in India. JP Morgan, yes, excellent. I think their number is almost $30 billion in single day. So this is the bank of the banks, okay? Not the normal bank, this is the bank of the banks, this is the bank of the. What do you think? What these top companies like Google, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Barclays look for in a candidate? What do you think? And how do you think you can get there? See, there are two things. First, I understand you feel a bit shy, maybe, what I don't know, that you guys are not answering, or maybe you don't have the answers. Or maybe you have the answers, but the answers are a little foggy, like somewhat grey. I'm not quite sure it's yes or no. So on that same note, allow me to officially start something that is highly relevant and materialistic to you. Okay? Please. These are some of the hunting questions, the common ones, the FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions. The first one is what? What's an ideal career? And how do I find mine? For some reason I took commerce, for some reason I took MLAI because it was a fancy term, or maybe I thought that in the future there's a good scope. Everything has a scope. There's nothing that doesn't have a scope. So how do I find that is best fit for me? It's always a question, right? What after the bachelor's? What after the master's? What kind of company? You have to be clear. Next is your what? How early should I start preparing for university applications? Right? And just take a look on all the questions. I would not like to just read one on one with you guys, but I'd like you to see. How many of you are interested in study abroad? Oh my god, that's a huge number. Tell me, what is the main motive behind flying abroad? Making what? Just raise your hand and then say it so I can just teach it to you. Yeah, please, miss. Making a good lifestyle. Why do you think so that making a good lifestyle can only happen abroad? Well, certainly it is true, but why it cannot happen in India? That's the question. Does it imply that those who are flying abroad will have a good lifestyle in contrast to people staying in India wouldn't? Is that really the case? Well, not. So now, let's delve deeper. This is the question. I know you guys wouldn't answer it verbally, but I want to answer it intellectually. Take 30 seconds, dig deeper inside, and think what is the right career for you. Again, do not try to be overly practical. We are here to be a little whimsical, a little fancy, a little dreamy. Right? If I think that 5 years down the line I have my own company, that's a good career. I feel like if I enter in a room and I'm the CEO, I'd be happy. How would I get there? That's a different thing. Okay, that's the laying down it in a practical manner. I'm here to just talk about in a dreaming manner, first of all. I'll come on the practical side, okay? But everything happens from an aspiration. Some guy, at some point in time, one someday, lofty mood thought, what if we could fly? It all started with that one just dream. And we know what happened next. Right, brothers, right? The similar thing happened in India as well. I think if you're not aware, you'll find it happened in India as well. Elon Musk, he doesn't have a formal degree in astronomical science, okay? He doesn't have any degree, once again I repeat, neither in aeronautics nor in astronautics, right? But today he runs what company? SpaceX. That deals in what? Astronautics. So anything that stays beyond the space, outside the edge of the universe, not the universe but Earth, that's astronautics. If it is in the normal plane, it's aeronautics. Your normal aircraft, we fly in, right? How did he do that? When he didn't formally study it. When he didn't formally study it. How could he run the company? It all happens with a dream. Right? What if we could do that? What if we could reuse a rocket? And now we see what happened. And we also saw that how many failures he encountered. One after the other. Over and over again. That guy is really a badass. When the whole NASA was against him, that hey, first of all, you guys, those who were with him, smarten up yourself. They actually meant you guys go and study what is aeronautics, what are the principles. He said, I do not need to. I just want to know that why it cannot happen. And on that why, on those irrational questions, he rationalized, and we saw what happened. Falcon thing happened, right? Falcon was a model, right, that he was working on that is now reusable. And we are now eco-friendly astronautics company. That is what he says. How? It's a dream. It's asking some silly questions that you should ask yourself at this point in time. It's high time you should. Right? So, let's go to the next page. When you think of a career, the most important thing is that an ideal career versus an average career. Now, average doesn't necessarily mean just the pay stuff. It is a multiple aspects, or you can say multinomial. You guys are studying the polynomials, right? So, in your equation, at present, you have just two variables. First, money, that is obviously relevant and important. But there are multiple variables that you guys need to work on that you might realize later on. So I want you to know it now. Because if you know it now, you're going to invest on it. Invest in the sense, invest your time, energy, intellectuality. Whatever the knowledge you have already acquired, you're going to invest it, apply it, and then you're going to make something out of it. That is called investment. Not necessarily just the money stuff. Right? So just take a look at what is an ideal career. What is the first thing? Let's start from the top. Enjoyment. Nobody works like a slave. If I go in my workplace, I should enter confidently. I should love to sit in that chair, do that stuff, and get recognition. That hey, that guy does that job very well. I want people to say this thing about me. Right? Next thing, what? Growth. Once you learn something, no matter how interesting is it, we all get bored. So you have to now what? Step up. If there is no growth, you would leave that space. Maybe you would want to leave, but you're not able to leave. That's a different matter, but you would want to leave for certain. Right? So that's second thing. Next thing is what I already covered, that is recognition. It is very, very important. It is one of the essential needs, one of the essential desires. Right? We have multiple desires. You guys know very well. But recognition is one of the most fundamental desire of every human being. We cannot live without it. Let me put it very bluntly. If you want to see an example, In fact, okay, before I give example, I want an example from you. What is the best example of recognition that humans cannot live without it? Tell me. Think smart. Think out of the box. Instagram. Instagram is popular because it indicates that as a human being we have a hidden need that is called recognition. We all suffer from this thing. Those who do not get recognized because of their work, they try to find out other means to get recognition. Maybe some people are like overly conscious about the recognition that they want to be recognized for multiple things. For example, the guy is really good with the sports. The guy is really good with his work. Maybe some other art. He plays guitar really well, right? Somebody sings well. Recognition. If you do not get recognition, the talent, knowledge, whatever you possess, starts rotting like a stale food. And it is always refreshed if you get attention. Okay. People say that, hey, I don't need attention, okay? I know why. It's all the smart way to just put yourself with confidence. But deep down, we all crave for it. So why not just admit that? That's a human desire, right? We cannot live without it. So that's one thing. Now let's take a look on something that we do not want to happen to us, but somehow we end up. What is the first thing? Lack of interest. This is going to hit you not right now. Not even in 2 or 3 years. You realize this thing 5 to 7 years later. I repeat, realize. There is one thing knowing, okay? You might know it right now. But realizing takes time, okay? It's like, I know if I touch the flame, I'll get burnt. That is knowing. That is what experiencing. So you will experience this thing 5 or 7 years down the line. That should not happen to you. The world is highly competitive. I'm not here to fuel your motivation or something. That's not the job I do. I'm here to just give you some brutal reality checks. At the same time, how the hell am I going to improve that part? How I'm going to write that story where I want to be, in which I'm the hero. Right? But you're going for the same thing. Yeah. I'm not sexist, by the way, okay? Both genders. Yeah. Next thing is what? Work-life balance. Yes. At one point of time, you guys is gonna get what? Doubled, followed by triple and quadruple maybe, right? That's when you require work-life balance. How would you strike the balance? You might feel like, okay, this is a person who is really important to me. At the same time, I studied these many years. I was hearing those stupid things from my boss, manager, and anybody else. How can I just let this thing go off my hands where I worked so hard since child, maybe since college, maybe got serious, right? How can I do that? You cannot compromise, you cannot choose one over the other. Life is not your probability equation, okay? That's mutually exhaustive. If one exists, it cannot happen the other way around. It's not head-tail. The real life happens always when the coin is erect. That's when you need something like both the ends, right? Fortunately or unfortunately, say whatever, this is not something like the personal life aspect. It is very much dependent on your professional life. Okay, so if your professional life is disturbed, your personal life is not going to be sane. I'm not saying it's certainly going to be disturbed, but you guys are not going to be enjoying it 100%. Those beautiful things that your person has to offer, you cannot taste it full well. Why? Because your mind is wondering, what am I going to do next day? What my manager is going to say to me, right? 2, 3, that's it. After 4 or 5 years, you start feeling, okay, now I'm done. I need to change my career. See, that's a very big Commitment. You invested your prime time in something, and when you can make or break something, you say that, okay, now I'm going to take the exit. I'm going to try something else. Shouldn't happen, right? All of these things lead to why, or what, or how. Purpose. If I don't have the purpose, I don't know how. If I don't have the purpose, why should I do it? If I don't have the purpose, what should I do it? So all of these things makes the career really unsatisfying. Consider yourself to be highly fortunate enough that your parents have invested money, time, energy, and emotion to put you in this place, and you're comfortably enjoying the session and thinking at this level. Personally, it is highly appreciable that you're thinking at least. That is the reason you guys are here, right? So now let's make the best out of it. Move to the next. Yes. Let me show you the hierarchy game, that how things work out in the real life. If I say how I consider myself to be highly successful, if I have something top. What? Top. Either I am at the top as an entrepreneur, or I am working in some top companies or some top brands, right? So what's that going to be like? You can see those things. Man, there's Reliance, there's JP Morgan, there's Tesla, NASA, and ISRO, right? There's some fancy names, right? What do they see in a candidate? How do you land that space? How do you get there? Think. They often choose people from top institutes, right? Now let me just give you one story, okay? How this education sector works. Basically, these top colleges are like brokers. I know I'm sitting in a, in a university, but let me give you some, the other side of the business. Universities are brokers or mediators. Mediator between what? You and that top position. So basically these top universities, including tier 2 and tier 3, they see the guy that who I can sell higher. What? Who I can sell higher. For example, there is a guy who has some basic skills, he has some potential, but he doesn't have the clarity that how he can get into top companies. Right? Why I'm 7? It can be even tier 2 or even tier 3, yeah? Exactly. Why? Do you think that all the IITs gets placed? Do you think so? All the students from IIT Bombay gets placed. Does everyone get the same offer from the Goldman Sachs? JP Morgan comes and says that, hey, you're IIT guy. Come, I'm going to invite you on a red carpet. No. They just choose only handful. What happens to the rest of the people? Think about that. Because when we see the word IIT, we only see these names. That X guy bagged a package of XCI. Fine, that's a good thing, brilliant. What about the rest of the people? Or do they be dropped dead? That life isn't anymore to them? What happens to them? They work on multiple aspects of their life. Because companies look for, what? They just don't look at your academia, that is just one scale. They look at the overall comprehensive profile. Right? So how you can have an excellent profile if you want to work in the top companies / if you want to go to the top universities. Or let's say, for lack of a better word, a higher university where you currently are at. Internships. Where do you intern yourself? That shows that next door mile you want to go. It shows that you are ready to put some efforts behind your career. Next is what? Sports. Until now we have learned what that sports is something not relevant to your academia. It is just good for the physical health. Why do Ivy League colleges prefer sports? Because of tournaments. What happens in tournaments?
All seven Ivy League colleges. All seven Ivy League colleges. All seven Ivy League colleges. Have a tournament and the winner college to get.
He says that the winner gets the prize. Fine, that's true. But yeah, winner gets the prize. Fine. But why these top universities organize such events? Sorry. Recognition. Yeah, remotely correct. I want to have directly correct answer. Think through. Olympics is altogether different. Olympics is a professional career into sports. Nobody goes to Harvard to become the Olympic champion. They would go to a gym, they would go to some club, and there they're gonna practice. Yeah? Anybody has any idea?
To show the creativity of the person who wins, how he or she wins the sports.
Okay. To show the creativity that how they win that sport. Yes, not just creativity, there are multiple things that you put in a game to win. It shows your courage. When you try that extra punches, for example in a boxing, when you try that extra hit if you're batting, you try to put an extra mile while running a marathon or sprinting or whatever the damn thing you are involved in. It shows that you are highly passionate about it. You're not a burnout person. So if you do well in sports, you know what is the feeling of winning. You can also win at workplace. That is why these companies and these colleges admire your sports skills. You work in any top company, they would highly value your sports skills, even though you are not a professional player. If I talk about myself, I'm a professional martial artist, although now I play amateur. I love it, it keeps me healthy. Whenever in my life I went in the negative phase, that sports brought me back. So that is when you realize, if I can do here, why not there? So you translate that winning attitude and you bring it at your workplace. Plus, if you are, let's say, playing your team sports, so that shows you have a collaboration skills. You just really learned, right, some moments back, that collaboration is highly important. It's a team game, right? Working in any top company or running even your own company is a team sport. Plus, if you're a captain or vice captain, or you have been given some position that, hey, you're the central defender or whatever, what? So you are responsible for it. So sport shows what? Responsibility. That you take your responsibility and you do that thing. Next is what? Your art and creativity. If you love guitar, you love some music or any kind of art, that shows that you have found out yourself, that what works for you and what doesn't work. So basically, it's not guitar that I'm interested in as a boss. It is that I know this person is sorted. This person knows that what he gonna do to keep himself what? Calm. To keep himself recharged. That is what your art and creativity is for. For someone, see, if I talk about myself, the best music I love is when I'm punching something, not someone. That's the best beat I play. I play the rhythm. When I get depressed, when I get sad, something didn't work out at the workplace, punches, and I've come recharged. Get back to the work. Getting the point? Next is what? Leadership. Yes. You work in some conflict, you work for a club. What do? You again show the responsibility. You manage something. So that management is learned when you can manage something at your own level. Right? Research work. I think not everyone can connect with it, but see, the main purpose of research is that I want to do something extra, I want to dig deeper into that, and I'm highly passionate about it. Nobody would like to work with a person who is not passionate with the same thing which I am with. Right? So you have to have somewhat research, even if it is not, it's perfectly fine, right? And last one is why community service? It shows that you have realized at one point of time you wanted something, you earned it, and now you want to pay back to the society. You're not just very selfish. Plus you care. You have sympathy. You have empathy for people. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. It can even be as simple as a skill. For example, you learned coding. You went to some place or some institute and you decided you're going to teach this chapter for free. Why? Because you think you're good at that and you can help someone understand it. So that's your community service. All of these things make a comprehensive profile. So those students who couldn't get the job immediately after their academics, they work on all of these aspects and they build their comprehensive profile. You go to any top company and then say that I have a degree in, let's say, computer science, or I have a BCom, or let's say an MCom for that matter, so hire me. I do not hire it. And when I say I, that doesn't mean I, it means I represent companies. I need to show that how you can put that thing into my company. How are you going to react to the person who is hired to you? How are you going to react to the person who is just recently joined the company, who is going to be learning? Would you be like sympathetic enough? That is the reason you have community service. Are you kind enough to your juniors? This is what the company thinks. Because company cannot exist without people, right? So all of these things you need to build on to go to the top universities. And how exactly that happened? Let me introduce myself. It happens through GLOBEWARTS. So we basically help you out with all of these things I mentioned. We deal in all sorts of universities, from a normal university you just have heard of on streets, I mean with your friends, to the best one you can even dream of. Okay? A standard university to Stanford. Where you belong to, this is where we take you to. With every single step laid out. Right? Because you just saw that academia is one thing. Academic is just your intelligence, that's it. I repeat, it is just intelligence. And now we are living in an age of what? Generative AI, okay? Nobody cares how many information you have in your brain. World now requires more brainiacs. We need wise people, not intelligent. 10 years, 20 years back, if you said that you were intelligent, you were valued. Now intelligence is outdated. Trust me, this is the future. The future is of wise people. Because the same thing can be done by just some keywords. Just type something in your chatbot. I mean, your Google or what do you say it? DeepSeek? ChatGPT, Gemini is there, right? Do you think they will stop at this place? Or will it evolve in 10 years? Would you be able to prepare yourself enough to beat that Gemini in terms of intelligence? Never. As a human, we are not meant to compete with machines. We always have been inventing those machines which we think can be automated. As a guy, I cannot hit at the same place multiple times. But if I put a machine here, I place my we They're not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to now go and put that same gun in a different place. That hey, if I hit there, I can get some more money, for example. Not really use guns. But that thinking that if I put it here, that was the human thing. That machine thing was done by that machine. So please don't try to do the machines, because if you try to compete with machines, you have just seen one example, right? So this is what the top companies and the top colleges value in a candidate. It is not just the academics. Academics just shows that you choose something, you can study and continue, for 4 years, 5, 6 years. That just shows your commitment. And you know a bit of things here and there. Whatever you lack, it can be taught at the workplace. Again, just some moments back you realize that if you don't know something, you can always learn there. Because the world is changing. You don't study about the CRT monitors, those big ones, right? The fat ones. On what technology we are working. It was just history. So there is no point in knowing that history. We focus on at the present time. So please have a career insurance. I think that's the right way to put it. We always see term insurance, vehicle insurance. Sometimes we buy expensive phone and we have our phones also insured. Why the hell not a career? What's going to happen in 10 years? Will I be just redundant? Just because the codes I used to write will be written by just some prompt. Write down a code in Python to arrange these 100 cells in XYZ format. You're good to go, just copy and paste the code. And you're still just hitting that keyboard. Don't do that. Right? So you need a comprehensive profile. So I hope now you got to see the full picture that what the top career is like, or what top companies are like, or what top universities look for.
So that means, sir, everyone here can crack these companies or go to their campuses, the university campuses, with a good profile. But I have a question, sir. There are multiple opportunities and options available for internships, sports, community services, research work, entrepreneurship, and as it is mentioned in the middle, certifications, supplementary courses, and many more. How do we select what's the best option for us?
Okay, so this happens when we see that where you currently are and what you're going to do for your masters or at the workplace. So based on that, we select a complete roadmap. So we lay down every single step. Because if you think that I'm here at this ground floor and I'm going to go directly to the 10th floor, fortunately we are just men, not supermen. So we help you to how to do it in a manly manner. That's it. What skill? For example, let's say, just give me one irrelevant example but highly relevant. Entrepreneurship is what you are interested in. For example, you apply to Stanford, okay? Just give me an example. That I want to get an MBA in entrepreneurship. What? Company. You never even were a co-founder, right? But you show that I was an excellent sports person and I was the team leader of my team. Or you can say I was the vice captain. So don't you think when you were strategizing that how to win that game, you took some risk, right? That's when you prove that, yeah, this is how I have learned how to mitigate risk, how to strategize it, and how to execute it. Getting the point? And altogether different example, sports to running a company. So which sports and how that sport is relevant to your next plan, maybe masters, maybe the job, right? We have to craft a nice story. We have to direct it, we have to write the whole script, and then we get it executed. So all you guys have to do is just act on the way we say. It's not that impractical, it's something that is highly executable. We lay down everything in baby steps, one thing at a time. Now, next. Right? So all of these things you just saw some moments back, we solve all of those problems. You just need to invest your time, energy wisely. Okay? And I've already covered all of these points, so there's the points. Next one. So,
I have a few questions, sir.
yeah.
Everyone sitting here has a unique skill set.
Yeah.
So you will help every student of mine to build their own story based on their interest, personality, and aptitude and capabilities, right? So I would like to congratulate all my students here that we have GLOBEWARTS on our campus to help each and every student of ours to know and recognize themselves better, because every one of us deserves the best, right? It's just that we are not aware of it, how many opportunities are lay before us, right? So how do we know how many opportunities lay before us? Through GLOBEWARTS. GLOBEWARTS has more than 25 years of experience, which will help you know that, okay, what am I made for and what is made for me, right? If we follow that path, I am very sure that we can achieve the best of our careers, right? So GLOBEWARTS will be having a dedicated student section in Charak Bhavan. Okay, I have also provided a brochure of GLOBEWARTS. You guys can directly contact them and they will get back to you in 24 hours. The first one-on-one session exclusively is free for PPSU students, right? The personal counseling session. What is better than that to know yourself? Plus, after a deep research of GLOBEWARTS, I came to a conclusion that the best of services are available on our campus. Then why not provide a sponsorship to our students? So any student from PPSU or any services from GLOBEWARTS. So I would like to bring the first slide back. Yes. So when I was reading this slide, I think these are the basic questions I went through when I was in my 12th standard. Also when I was pursuing my bachelor's, 4 years down the line, I couldn't get any answers to this. But now, when I am already having my own career, I met Satyam ji, and now I got to know, and I regret it that I did not meet them earlier. But you guys are fortunate enough that you guys get to meet him right now. Why not answer all these questions? Okay, can you tell me how many students wants to know how can I prepare for my student visa interview? Who has this question? You all want to study abroad, right? So this visa interview, how do we crack it? Everyone has this question, right? Can you raise your hands? Who has this question?
I just would like to say one thing. Visa is something really complex. Okay? At times I've seen that a student got admission letter from some university. Everything was perfectly fine until the time they get a rejection from the visa. Why? Because see, I give you just one practical example to understand. Let's say this is your home, right? And some guy comes and says that, no, I am the electrician, for example. And from his appearance and his overall being, you doubt that it's not electrician, it's something else. Would you let that guy in? This is what happens. You have to prove that how your past, when you passed academia, your present that you're going to do over there, and how your future is well aligned. That is what they ask you for. And if these questions do not match well, it doesn't matter like what college you got the admission from. They simply say no. They're not going to check it further. Just one thing, how everything is putting into one place, which is that challenging.
So that means, sir, you will help us with all these questions in a professional way.
Absolutely.
Because all of these factors matter, whether we want to study further in India or in abroad, or whether we want to pursue our job work.
Yeah,
So,
one more thing I'd like to add in here. See, what happens that in the name of study abroad, it's another different side of business. So, generally what happens, people will give you only the universities they have tie-up with. Okay? Now what happens, if anyhow I get you admission letter, I will get my cut. Once you pay the fee, I'll get my cut, right? You got your visa rejected, that's altogether a different matter. We do not do that. Because when we choose a course for you, we check that it is actually matching up. Is it exactly matching up with your previous academic, your bachelor's degree, and your company or the kind of job profile you are interested in, because you have to mention it. And yes, how do we do that? What kind of career you have to choose? It doesn't happen just because we find it attractive. It happens actually through a scientific test. It is called psychometric test. So let's break it down in two parts. Psycho means something related to your psychology, the way your brain works. Okay, everyone works differently. And matrix is some ratios in certain aspects. So are you a team worker or a team leader? You are an introvert kind of guy, you are an extroverted kind of guy. In a seminar, you just listen to the questions and answer in your mind, or you actually answer it. There are 100 different combinations. So we don't go that deep into that, but at least we have classified 16 to 20 different types of personalities, and every personality has a different kind of career profile. So it doesn't have because I chose this career because my father was into that, or my friend was into that. It would happen in an absolutely scientific manner. And it is the same method used by the top universities. I showed you some, right? Harvard and Stanford, and some of the top companies. So when they give you any role, they check your personality type. And personality is not just one aspect that has only academics. I showed you like multiple components, right, of personality. So we select it scientifically. Your interest is one of them, right?
So this is a very long process. So this seems a very long process. One more way to trust GLOBEWARTS is that it is not just a one-time thing. This institute is going to help you from now onwards, wherever you stand, till you reach your goal. This can be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years. Now how do I tell you? I met a student from GLOBEWARTS. He was pursuing BCA. Now he wanted to go to USA for finance. From computer to finance. So GLOBEWARTS. Wherever you stand, from there, where you want to reach, every step is crafted for you specifically. Alright? So what they did was, they let him get internships in the best institutions that were specifically relevant to the university he was trying to target. You get it? The way Satyam sir said that you need internships, you need research work, but what internship? Where do I go for an internship? That is also a very big question. GLOBEWARTS is here to help you. For example, what's your name? Prachi. What is best for Prachi that would be crafted by GLOBEWARTS? Not everyone has to go to an internship at the same institution, right? Prachi will go somewhere else, she will go somewhere else. Okay? So how do we choose for ourselves? That is the question, and for that, GLOBEWARTS has scientific tests to know and recognize what is best for you. Right? First time in my life, I regret my past though, but I am very happy right now that I got GLOBEWARTS for my students. Let us not settle for less. Let's crack and grab the best for ourselves. So one thing I would like to say is that these students came here for study abroad consultation, right? But it is not that narrow, guys. We just want to go to foreign countries. But I don't know what is the height of that. But every one of us has potential in a different field. All of us has a different skill set. Why not explore it? Let's go abroad, but let's walk in that direction which is best for us, right? So yeah, thank you so much.
She rightly said that going abroad is a good thing, but that doesn't mean those who are going to stay back in India are anyhow, in any way, shape or form, losing something. Right? So it's all about making a career. It can be in India, it it can be abroad. As simple as that. So don't think narrow, just flying abroad. I just have to land anyhow. Please get that stupid part out of your mind, because you recently saw the news. Those who anyhow landed, they are also coming back anyhow. Okay? And this is the future. It has just recently started. This is one tip of the iceberg. It's going to happen at a massive level. Right? So please know that what country you are the best fit for, what kind of college you are best fit for, what kind of career you are best fit for. Only then you would survive. Otherwise, the blunt, brutal answer is that deport. Or in company level you can say fire, terminate, lay off. These are some brutal words that would happen, and for sure it will happen. We just want you to be immunized yourself well before it happens. That's why the human thing to do. Alright? Thank you very much for your patience.
So those students are highly interested, I'll just keep the last slide for contact information. You guys can just note down the number and the mail address to get in contact with GLOBEWARTS. Alright? And physically also you can just go to the